Despite its low profile, the transport element of the Royal Australian Air Force is one of the largest air carriers in Australia. This versatile fleet of 53 transport aircraft is flown, maintained and managed by a dedicated staff of many thousand professional servicemen whose skills are unrivaled. The commitment of the RAAF to the Australian Defence Force and to the country is not only national but international. And to carry out this wide-ranging task, the aircraft of the transport element fly the highways and byways of the sky, covering more than 7 million nautical miles each year. Resources are limited, but the Royal Australian Air Force is capable of delivering anyone or almost anything anywhere in the world. Each month, scheduled services of the Royal Australian Air Force, using mainly the C-130 Hercules aircraft, move more than 30,000 service personnel and 3.5 million kilograms of freight. Troop movements often add an extra 2,000 men and women and 100,000 kilograms of cargo to the total monthly load. The responsibility for the safe movement of personnel, equipment and aircraft lies with the Air Force's operational command based at Glenbrook, near Sydney. It is from here that the day-to-day tasking of every aeroplane in the Air Force is controlled. This tasking conforms to a strict annual budget, which cannot be exceeded, and determines flying hours for each type of aircraft and activity.
The AOC is not a VIP as such.
12,000 flying hours are devoted each year to scheduled services with set timetables and designated routes, which reach most air bases in Australia and overseas, to support our international commitments. Such routine flights are the lifeblood of the Australian Defence Force, for they provide for quick delivery of essential stores and equipment. Many of our military establishments are in remote corners of the continent. Scheduled flights make possible a smooth flow of personnel and equipment to help to overcome the handicaps of great distance. Each flight is like a mosaic, with many small pieces making up the whole air movements picture. Making sure the pieces fit is the job of the Air Force Movement Coordination Centre at Richmond in New South Wales.
For the passenger's baggage? No. For the passenger's comfort. But what you've really got to do is stuff your comfort and try and make sure you put as much out as possible.
This 18,000
With a limited number of aircraft and an ever-increasing workload, great skill is required to utilise effectively every available cubic centimetre of load space.
I'll add these 4 fellas for you then. That'll be, they should be right.
Passenger bids from all over Australia are collated here, assessed and notified Australia-wide a day in advance of flights to permit maximum utilisation of aircraft's passenger and freight capacity.
Righto. AC McKay.
Yeah. Right drum, ready. Right drum. 1, 2.
Not all passengers can expect this standard of farewell. These are 1st Royal Australian Regiment troops departing for a 3-month tour of duty in Malaysia. The standard of service on the 707 aircraft is high. Flight stewards are trained by Qantas.
Sit next to the window, thanks.
With greater passenger potential and longer range, the Royal Australian Air Force's 707 aircraft have reduced by 1/3 flight time and aircraft movements between Malaysia and Australia.
01, time 59.
Winds are 6-3, sir.
60, requirement to maintain 8,000. Clear for takeoff, barrier down.
3-1. Rotate. 3-2.
Possibly, the 707s are the busiest aircraft in the fleet, for they perform many roles. As a troop carrier, they are efficient, cost-effective and comfortable.
Malaysia before? No. You're looking forward to it, won't you?
630, you're positioned by radar 342 Richmond at 50 miles. Cancel the heading, track direct to Richmond.
Then ground speed.
The only disadvantage of the 707 aircraft is that they are restricted to runways greater than 7,000 feet in length. But their great advantage is that these deceptively elegant aircraft can be swiftly converted from passenger operations to freight and can carry almost twice the load of a Hercules. Also, they can be converted to strategic air refueling tankers, making them truly VIP, very important parts of the Royal Australian Air Force transport element. The Boeing 707 has an undeserved reputation as the VIP carrier. They can be configured quickly for this task, but less than 15% of their flying hours are used for this purpose. The true VIP fleet is number 34 Squadron, based in Canberra, which for VIP flights operates on a cost recovery basis, the Air Force being reimbursed by the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet for each flight. Number 34 Squadron provides swift and secure movement anywhere for Cabinet Ministers and opposition leaders, visitors of state and the Governor-General.
You finished writing your speech?
Oh, yes, all 5 pages of it. What time do we actually get to Adelaide?
I'm not too sure, about 8. Ask Rick, he'll know.
8:30 this evening, Your Excellency.
8:30.
I wanted to read it over before we get there, but there'll be heaps of time to do that.
When most businesses come to a halt, or at least slow down. But at Richmond Air Force Base, there is little relaxation. The operation of the air movement section is a 24-hour task, which never slips out of top gear. Incoming air freight has to be unloaded and sorted for air dispatch to other destinations. Aircraft have to be serviced and maintained to meet the RAAF's high operational and safety standards, yet made available for flight as quickly as possible. Time is of the essence. It, along with flying hours, is a commodity of which there is never enough. Often in times of conflict and during civil emergencies, Royal Australian Air Force transport aircraft operate in regions vastly different from those in Australia.
Please close, next inch. Okay, you're on speed. Okay, we're passing the little hut now, John. We're committed now.
Yeah, looks all right.
And Bluetooth closed. Okay, it's looking good. It's a little fast now. Yep. Okay. Okay, coming back on speed. Just getting a little slow. Slow. Yep.
Training over unfamiliar terrain, like the rugged mountains of Papua New Guinea, gives the experienced pilot greater skill and the confidence to operate his aeroplane safely anywhere, even when negotiating airstrips that look more like hill climbs for sports cars than runways.
Good one. Good one.
Such flights usually serve 2 purposes: training and our overseas defence cooperation program, defence aid projects carried out in conjunction with the civil authorities of neighbouring countries. In this case, a school at Telefomin in the remote highlands of Papua New Guinea is being helped. The Royal Australian Air Force has flown in heavy building materials free of charge. This enables the parents of the 240 pupils to afford the cost of building their own school. All such material must come to Telefomin by air. The RAAF's assistance has reduced the cost of each school building from $50,000 to $8,000.
We haven't told you how much we're going to charge for carrying this moment, I'll tell you.
Much is done also to assist Australians. In a country as vast as ours, hardly a week goes by without hikers, children, yachtsmen or someone getting into difficulties. Search and rescue missions carried out in conjunction with civil authorities are an expensive but a necessary part of the Air Force's National Support Program, which covers a range of activities, including medical evacuation flights. Air Force aeromedical evacuation flights assist stricken Australians in remote locations when other authorities are unable to help. In an average year, more than 120 medical evacuation and search and rescue missions are flown. National support covers a broad area, and the Royal Australian Air Force must be ready to react swiftly to any national or international emergency. Its preparedness can be measured by its response to Cyclone Oscar, which in the summer of '83 devastated the beautiful islands of Fiji. Hercules aircraft of the Royal Australian Air Force, laden with relief supplies, were on their way to Fiji immediately help was requested. The C-130s brought in urgently needed tents and blankets for the homeless, and 2,000 portable water tanks, for Fiji's main water system was polluted and dangerous. The RAAF brought also a mobile air transport unit to supervise the unloading and distribution of the critical supplies. In times of natural disasters, animals suffer as much as humans, and much Australian livestock has been saved by RAAF hay-drop operations. Aerial resupply extends also to other isolated Australians and Australian interests. Our Macquarie Island scientific establishment is largely dependent upon the Air Force for food and materials. RAAF aircraft also cooperate with the United States and New Zealand in resupply of Antarctic bases. It is only during the Antarctic summer that air resupply is practical. Halfway across the world, there is another group of isolated Australians working with the peacekeeping force in the Sinai. Each month, after an arduous 4-day flight, the Sinai ferry rolls in, bringing food, supplies, and a welcome link with home. This is the prime role of the transport element of the Royal Australian Air Force, the support and movement of the Defence Force and its equipment, either during peace or war. The air movement of anyone or anything, anywhere, is seldom glamorous, but often arduous and difficult, and a task performed by the transport element of the Royal Australian Air Force to the lasting benefit of the Defence Force and of the nation.